Hey, it's Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here once again for our Barroom podcast. Apologize if you guys heard something in the background. I didn't realize it was playing till literally just got on camera a second ago. So we took care of that. We're having a fun night here with all the technical difficulties, but we're here once again for episode 5 of the Barroom podcast. So we got a little bit of steam going. We've been here for 5 straight weeks. And I'm here once again with my lovely cohorts of guests. We have Colt Cassie Cage with us once again tonight. How you doing, Cassie?
Doing pretty good. Just got done streaming. Definitely happy to be chilling with y'all again.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the South American jungles is the condescending Josh. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Except for the tech, that thing, I can't really get the microphone to work, so I end up using this.
Yeah. I hear you. And then we have Mr. Rob Motto, who's back with us once again. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing good, man. Glad it's the weekend. It's been a long week.
So we got a couple of very interesting stories I actually want to start off with before we get started. So I want to start off with Cassie because apparently during Wednesday night stream, Cassie viciously murdered her dog, who is no longer with us. And I just kind of want to get the whole backstory about what exactly happened there, because I guess there was a whole bunch of things that happened behind the scenes. So give us a rundown of what happened.
So yeah, while we were streaming, I thought a siren was going off. Turns out it was the dog. He was literally wailing extremely loudly, and because he was sleeping in my brother's bed, and then he just randomly decided, I feel like being Superman or Krypto right now, and I'm gonna jump off the bed. And turns out he ended up breaking a bone in his leg. It's pretty shitty. It's the smaller bone. I think it's the fibia. So now he's in a full leg cast, and he's wearing now he's a cone head as well. Yeah, it sucks. I think he's like 12 weeks now, and he's already off to a great start at life.
Oh no.
So, I know, yeah, it sucks.
Only been in the house 2 weeks, and he's already suffered his first major injury. So
yeah,
self-inflicted though, so it's kind of like better than right. So you didn't break it at least.
not directly.
I'm telling you something else. I don't know.
Obviously got the puppy cougar room moving forward.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, he's in my brother's room, so that's going to be a shit fest. Can't wait to see how the next month is going to turn out with this situation.
Yeah, right. All right, then, Mr. Rob, you were telling us about a story about a snafu you had on Facebook just a few minutes ago. Why don't you tell us how exactly you got suspended once again?
It's really a really dumb story. I just responded to okay. So I responded to the boyfriend of Brady Snellis about the Supreme Court decision last week that Republicans are winning. They're not very, because he basically made the comment they were very childish in their pursuit of, kind of getting Roe v. Wade overturned and some other things. And I just basically said, well, aren't you the person that drug your boyfriend to not 1 but 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies? So it was just like a slight little funny thing. And I just posted that, and that got used as like, oh, me kicking somebody when they were down. Because this is somebody that was in rehab for like using a prescription drug thing. And, it was like, but they're saying something dumb, and I'm just pointing out that they're being dumb. So like, what's wrong with that? Anyway, so I got put on timeout for a week, and I got back, and everybody liked my Elvis reaction. So that was nice.
I'm about to say, who's going to rehab for the Sonic movie? I didn't think the situation was quite that bad. But, I mean, I guess there are movies more than others.
There are worse movies out there.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Mr. Condescending Josh, the face that runs the place, who is not stabbed or injured this week, but is still fighting with his technical equipment. So how's that whole situation going for you?
Oh, it's a pretty good streak. I don't want to break it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Knock on wood, right?
No stabs, at least into 2023.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Oh my gosh!
Fingers crossed, though.
You still got 5 more months left in the year, so.
Oh yeah, it's looking great, man.
I see the Tony Hawk game in the background. I like that.
Oh yeah, I just have to put it because otherwise it looks kind of boring in the back, and the problem is I've got a light in here as well, and it's kind of reflecting. It gets reflected on the telly. So I'm like, let's just put something on, and it's like, dude, mate, it's Tony Hawk, come on.
Exactly.
All right, a quick little shout out to the chat. We have Death by Gunfu, who was with us on Twitch tonight. And then joining us on YouTube is our editor extraordinaire, Spencer, who says the Black Pill stream 2.0. And I just wanted to point this out because that's kind of the basis of tonight's show. So last Wednesday, which is a couple of days ago, you might have saw all of us on the Black Pill stream for Bounding in the Comics, right?
He knew it was Mega Man X2, by the way. Right, so props. My fedora tip. It's not a fedora, but still.
So a tip and a cap, nonetheless.
Right, a tip and a cap, yeah.
So we had a good discussion. It was a good stream. I mean, obviously, Rob was there for the first time. Cassie made her triumphant return to the stream. So we had a good interaction, good discussion. But it wasn't until a day after the stream that we realized that we didn't talk about any of the topics that we were actually supposed to talk about during the entire 3-hour stream. So we were supposed to talk about Chris Pratt. We're supposed to talk about Paramount, Disney, and all those good stuff. And we didn't talk about any of it. So, but that's what happens when you let Spencer run a show. Everyone just comes to like 3 hours of just incoherent rambling, and it just drags on. So now we're here on the Barroom podcast. We're gonna have a little bit of structure. We're gonna return back to form here, and we're actually gonna cover the topics we were supposed to cover a couple of nights ago that we didn't get to. So, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Maury Parker, who's here with us once again tonight. And yeah, Spencer didn't even mention him at all. But fortunately, I've came prepared. So I think the good way to start off this stream is to talk about Mr. Chris Pratt, who made a comment. Actually, had an interview earlier this week that got a lot of people talking, and it's very interesting because what he said, I think, angered two groups of people at the same time in the same interview, which is a very, very interesting story here. So Chris Pratt, who's on his media tour right now, he got a couple things coming out. He has Thor Ragnarok coming out next week, which we'll review when that movie comes out. He also has an Amazon TV show that's coming out, I think, this week. I think today it just opened. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch that as well. But he did an interview earlier this week in which he had to clarify that he never went to the Hillsong Church. Now, if you don't remember the whole controversy about this, a couple of years ago, back when Eleanor Page was known as Ellie Page, and she basically threw, and I'm not saying that, I'm saying that in the context that she was when she said this back then. She threw Chris Pratt under the bus a few years ago because Chris Pratt allegedly went to the Hillsong Church. And the Hillsong Church is what they would call, at the time, the media was saying it was an anti-LGBTQ church. So the fact that Chris Pratt went to this church, they were all labeling him as, anti-gay, bigot, all these other things. So they asked him about this, and essentially he had to go out there and clarify that no, he wasn't a member of this church. And he also clarified some of his statements about religion in and of itself. So this was an article from Spencer that came out earlier this week. And he said that, basically just to run down, Hillsong Church is a traditional Christian church, which has no thoughts about, gay lifestyles and gay marriage. So he avoided clarifying that he wasn't a part of this church to avoid, I guess, throwing the church itself under the bus. So in this interview, he talked about, I guess, clarified some of his religious views. And what he said was that religion has been oppressive as fuck for a long time. He said, speculating to why he was uncomfortable with his speech. I didn't know that it would become the face that I would become the face of a religion when I'm honestly not that religious person. So there's a distinction between religious adhering to customs created by man over time, appropriating the all reserved for who I believe is a very real God, and using it to control people, to take money from people, to abuse children, to steal land, to justify hatred, Pratt said. Whatever it is, the evil that is in his heart of every single man has gloomed on the back of religion, has come along for the ride. Now, he said in the interview that I never went to the Hillsong Church. This is after he was accused for years for being a member of the church and being a bigot because he went to that church. But he said that I never went to the Hillsong Church. I've never actually been to Hillsong. I don't know anyone from that church. When he was asked why he didn't clarify that at the time, he says, I'm going to throw another church under the bus before saying if it was the Westboro Baptist Church, that's different. He also clarified that the initial claims that of his attendance for the Hillsong attendance came out when him and his family non-exclusively attended Zoe Church. He said, though not strictly related to his religion, Pratt took a moment during his time to express his frustration of the internet's insistence of calling him a villain. Because as we know, the internet really, really hates Chris Pratt because, I mean, there's really no secret he is a conservative Christian. And for that alone, the internet's come after him. They've tried to cancel him like they tried to cancel Gina Carano over the years, unsuccessfully, at least so far. But this all goes, like, go back to a 2021 post where he basically said, you know, he was thankful for his wife. He was thankful for having a beautiful, healthy daughter that he recently just had a few months ago. And people were attacking him because he was saying, well, one of his kids is disabled. So by saying that, you're taking the shot at Anna Faris, who obviously he divorced from a few years ago. So there was a lot of things online hate that Chris Pratt has been getting for a number of issues. He says that, so the comment on it, he says, like, that's effed up. My son's going to read that one day. He's 9. It's etched in digital stone. It really effing bothers me. I cried about it a lot. It was like, I hate the fact that these blessings that are in my life, the people who are close to me, it's become a real burden. So he's essentially just talking about, you know, the hates that he's gotten from certain people on the internet for a various number of issues. And kind of clarified that, you know, he's not a part of Hillsong, that he doesn't have, you know, any kind of anti-LGBTQ beliefs. And he kind of clarified his statements on religion in and of itself. So because of this led to two different reactions. You had the one reaction for the people who were accusing him of being a bigot by saying that, oh, he's basically trying to, you know, cover himself because of his connections to Hillsong and whatever, even though he's outright said that he's not a part of this church. They believed it for so many years, why would they stop believing it now? And then you had the reaction from the right that felt like that he was sort of backing down from his Christian beliefs that he's been professing in the media over the last few years. So they looked at his comments as him kind of bending the knee to the progressive mob as a way to kind of ease them from attacking him. But as we all know, that's not exactly going to happen. It's not going to stop them in any way, shape, or form. So I want to go ahead and kind of get the thoughts of the room about this situation. I want to start off with Rob, because I see Rob had a couple of reactions to some of the things that I said. So I guess we can start from just kind of tackling like both issues here. What do you think about him trying to distance himself from Hillsong and basically his statements on religion in and of itself?
Well, I think this is just a PR campaign a little bit, because he's trying to appease both sides. And when you do that, you run the risk of alienating everyone. Now, I can empathize with the human being and, you know, him just trying to say the right thing so that people kind of leave him alone. But the right thing will just be like, hey, like, leave me and my family alone. We'll practice whatever faith that we deem necessary. You know, I'm not a hateful person, and, you know, my private life, frankly, is none of your business. But a marketable star can't come out and say that. He'll possibly lose fans. So, I mean, I understand, but yeah, I just think it was a mistake ultimately to kind of go that way, because he hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, whether he went to a church or not, that doesn't, and whatever political donations that church makes are irrelevant.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. So, like I said, I want to go over Cassie on this one before I swing over to Josh. So, essentially the same question with Rob. Like, what do you think of him trying to distance himself from the church, and what do you think of him essentially just kind of not exactly distancing himself from religion of itself, but kind of the criticisms of religion, especially Christianity?
I mean, I think that, I don't know if he's necessarily just trying to like fall back or whatever, but I think ultimately Chris Pratt is just like a regular ass dude. I mean, he's religious, at least to some extent, but he's probably not ultra super religious by any means. He's just like casually a Christian, like most everyday people in America casually are. So it's just constantly this harassment against him just because people just want to find something to hate on. I don't really think he's necessarily falling back. It's just like at some point, it's like, how ridiculous is this shit? Like, you're attacking this dude for literally doing nothing, just living his life, watching movies with his kids. Like, it's just how, like, I'm sure that he's tired of it. I'm tired of seeing it. It's just, you could tell that he's a pretty down-to-earth person. I feel like if I met Chris Pratt and said hi, he'd be a cool dude. And ultimately, I I can understand how he feels, but yeah, he definitely he's just finding a way to stand his ground, and I think that the way he's doing it is just like, bro, I'm literally just living my fucking life. Just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Like there's hate all over the place, and I mean, especially for Chris Pratt, it's like these people that are so hateful, they just want to basically they're saying that religion is hateful and shit. It's like, but so are you. So who the fuck are you to really, browbeat people and try to silence them? It's like, man, just people need to chill.
So Spencer brought up a good point here. I want to get this one before I hit up to Josh. Is that obviously everyone knows that Christianity, and it's not just Christianity as well. We all know with Islam, there's certain views about gay people and about gay relationships, things of that nature. Obviously, doesn't mesh with the progressive Hollywood LGBTQ agenda. So here's a guy who professes himself to be a Christian, and they would just assume, oh yeah, well he has to hate gay people. He has to be a bigot. It's like, well, even if that wasn't the case, it's like, what else do you expect out of the religion? Like, we don't go and browbeat Muslims for their views on gays and gays relationships, because it's not very much different from the things that you're attacking guys like Chris Pratt for supporting. Is the exact same thing. And then the other thing is that it seems like, specifically with Hollywood, there's, as we've seen, especially the last week with the whole Roe v. Wade situation that happened last week, is that these people want to attack him for his possible views on gay people when they have a clear-cut hatred of Christianity and all Christians in general. So it's like, why is it that he's framed as the bad guy for quote-unquote being a hateful bigot, when that's exactly what a lot of you guys are as well? And I'll go ahead and switch that up with Josh.
Same question, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, you can comment on basically the same thing I asked Cassie about, those comments regarding religion just in general.
Yeah, well, see, the problem is that I was, I covered the story last year, I think it was. It could have been early this year. I can't even remember. But he was like, the day after that he received backlash for that post, saying that, well, thanks my wife for giving me a healthy daughter or whatever, right? So that was like the first thing that kind of I don't know, it didn't sit right with me, because he already. The next day he was like, you know what? I felt like crap last night, so today I decided to take a walk. I went to the woods. I just put on my Christian music. I was there with God, and I felt immediately, at home and all that. And I'm like, why are you saying all these things today when last year you were already, saying that God is giving you the strength or whatever, right? So I don't know, man. What are you trying to What are you trying to do? I don't really want to, shit on the guy. I don't want to I don't want to rip on Chris Pratt, because I know he's an okay person, but I think Rob was that said that maybe this is a PR kind of thing, Yeah. And yeah, maybe it's not because he wants to say this, but it's like, oh, mate, we want other people to watch a movie as well, not just conservatives or whatever. And I think that's probably it, right? So maybe he's. And even then, that actually makes it worse, right? Because why would you back down on all of this, your beliefs, just because you want to, I don't know,
exactly,
people go watch a movie?
I want to make one quick point that I'll let Rob go, and this is a point that Spencer made. Is that if you read the comments, it sounds like a guy who just kind of wants the hatred to stop. So I look at it from the perspective of a guy who, he's going to say these things thinking that, maybe if I say these things publicly, that people will back off of me, that people won't be, every day I'm trending on Twitter because I'm doing a new promo for a movie and everyone says I'm a terrible person. So maybe if I go out there and say that, hey, I'm not a part of this church that you guys all hate, then maybe you'll stop. But as we've seen many, many times before, these people are not going to stop until you're gone. So unless Chris Pratt is prepared to completely denounce his religion entirely and become a full-fledged reformed leftist, it's like these people aren't going to stop. And even that people like, Dave Bautista and James Gunn, who obviously aren't, conservative Christians whatsoever, but even guys like that have come out to publicly defend Chris Pratt by saying hey, stop hating on this guy. He's a good guy. What's wrong with you people? But like I said, they won't stop. So I don't think this is going to help his case any at all, especially with his new movies and new show coming up. So I'll go to you, Rob.
Yeah, I kind of wish Chris Pratt would make better movies. I don't think he's been I mean, you know, he's been in the Marvel universe and he's done like a few things here and there, but he really is a bit underwhelming, especially in the box office when he's not in that kind of MCU role. But I have no problem with what he said about Hillsong. It's more the stuff about like the religious stuff where it's like, yeah, I mean, there are specific examples of these systems being abused, but that's not in line with the religion. That's an abuse of the religious practices and whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so there's all kinds of things that you can sort of say out of context to try to get the more leftist people on your side. But ultimately it's like, I don't think that those people are really going to go buy tickets if you're just like, oh, hey, I care that you think I'm not a bigot. And it's just like, but you don't need to do that. That just seems fake and like he's placating an audience that doesn't like him anyway.
Yeah, very much so. Cassie, let me go ahead and ask you, like, what do you think about essentially not just the hate that Chris Pratt gets, but you think it's a wise move on his part to, I guess, try to find a way to like jump in front of it to get it to stop? Because I feel like doing stuff like that is only ultimately going to make it worse rather than make it better.
I mean, it's a tough situation to be in. You know, I think that the attacks that go, you know, directed toward his kids is probably something that is perhaps influencing him to just say some of these things. It sucks, you know, because I don't have kids, so it's like I can go into the fight and I don't give a shit because it's like I don't have anyone else attached to me in that way. So, you know, I feel bad for him and I get it. Like, I feel, I don't understand because it's like I want to be able to relate to people that seem like average dudes, and Chris Pratt comes off like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like these people, these leftists seem to like hate that. Like they just want, they back all the super fucking corporate shill people. and it's like the people that just seem like everyday average, like they just want to make movies, they have family, like they talk about their family, it's like that bad. And it's just like it goes to show how the lack of morals from these people that do attack him, and in the end that's going to just show itself more and more. The more these assholes talk, the more it's just going to show how evil they really are.
One thing that you've noticed, and there's a couple of instances, especially in the last week, like you can see with the reaction to Clarence Thomas and then the Supreme Court for some of the decisions that have come out in the last few weeks. It's like these people always try to project their hate onto somebody else in order to justify their hate of that person. So when they see Chris Pratt, in their mind, they see an anti-gay bigot, which obviously he's not. But because in their mind, that's the image that they have of him, they use that image of him that they've created in their own mind to justify why they hate him so much. And then they do that with so many other people. And it does get to a point where you just kind of have to rationalize. It's like, look, you can't get through to these people. Like you just can't. Like you're not going to get these people on your side unless you completely sell out and completely shield to what their image of you should be. And unless you're prepared to do that, then it's like doing things like this is just kind of like not to me. And then another thing I want to talk on real quick before we go on to our next topic is that obviously Chris Pratt, he has certain views. I wouldn't say like the bigoted views or anything like that, but just being a conservative in Hollywood, you have views that would be considered, I guess, unacceptable in that town. When you're in a town that's completely up and down controlled by progressives, you know, the Me Too movement, the LGBTQ movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, so many other left-wing movements in that town. So it's very, very difficult for a guy in his position to kind of navigate, because I'm pretty sure he wants to, you know, continue to have a career and, you know, continue to be in Hollywood. But it does get to a point where if the business and the industry is so completely like on the other side of the spectrum to where you're at, I mean, I'm sure he's saved up his money. Like, what point do you just say, you know what, screw it, I just don't want to be a part of this anymore? Because if I have to sell out to continue to be a part of these movies, at what point is it worth it staying in Hollywood? So I'll start off with Josh and go around.
So, first of all, the one thing that actually kind of like, maybe not annoyed, but disappointed is probably the word, right? It's just like Cassie was saying, this guy is genuine. And the problem is that this whole thing, this whole post or whatever it was that his recent comments, right, sound like the most ungenuine thing he said like ever, you know. And if you're trying to do that again, if you're trying to do that to pander to this, you know, basically to the left, right, because he's obviously, you know, annoyed by the whole, every time he gets backlash, and now he's trying to, you know, to appease to that side, and it's like, well, he's getting backlash as well. Just look at like, for instance, all the backlash of Bill Maher, one of the most leftist people in Hollywood or whatever, right? And you know, Bill Maher, right? Yeah. And he's also getting backlash whenever he questions anything. The same thing with what's the name of the English guy? That's got a podcast.
Piers Morgan?
No.
No, the one with the podcast.
Katy Perry.
That guy.
Brand. Yeah, that guy.
Russell Brand. Yeah. It's the same thing, right? Okay. He's a hardcore leftist, and people are calling him, right? He's a right wing nut or whatever, and it's just because he's got like, what's the thing I was going to say? Whatever, man.
Against the
narrative. But basically because he's questioning stuff, right? So he's not like pandering to this thing, and he's got legitimate concerns about whatever, the vaccine, about, you know, all of those things, right? And whenever you question that narrative, you're already immediately a conservative right-wing nut or whatever, and you're a Nazi, basically. And it's like, what? And I think Chris Pratt is trying to, you know, not be classified as something the left already believe he is. So,
well,
I don't know.
Here's the
feels
thing.
kind of like it's right.
Yeah, here's the thing about Chris Pratt, and I don't mean this, you know, I don't mean it personally. I'm not attacking him, but I don't know that he's talented enough to withstand sort of what's happening. I mean, Hollywood's been like this for a while, but it's been really bad the last 10 or so years. And I just don't know if he's willing to sort of withstand, you know, the pressure to not sort of cave in and just toe the party line. Now, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like he's like, okay, I've had enough. I'll say what you want me to say. Right. But, you know, we'll see.
Which is sad as well.
It is.
It's not only disappointing, it's very sad.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what happens when you're in an industry that's completely controlled by progressives. You have to play their game, and right now, I think the only two options is you either play their game, which means that basically turning your back on the people who have supported you throughout all of this crap over the last few years, or essentially just walk away from it altogether. And if you're not ready to make either choice, then you're going to have a pretty tough time. It's just the way that it is. So, a couple of announcements here before we move on. I just want to let the people on YouTube know that we are currently streaming on Twitch as well. So for any reason that we get dropped from YouTube for any number of seconds, we're still going to be live on Twitch uninterrupted, as I'm pretty sure we're going to be for the most of the night. And I want to go ahead and introduce our other guest onto the show tonight, Mr.
What is up, guys? Hey,
what's up?
Hey, how's it hanging?
Yes, we've missed you.
Yes. Oh yeah, I had some whole bunch of shit going on, but now I'm good.
Cool.
Well, you wouldn't be TW if you weren't on Color People Time, so I mean, I guess that's a good way for the characters.
Oh yeah.
So we just wrapped up the Chris Pratt discussion. So I actually wanted to jump in since we're still on a little bit of a topic about Disney, because Disney just made a big announcement over the last couple of days that despite everything that's gone on with the House of Mouse over the last 6 months, they're keeping their CEO. So CEO Bob Chapek is going to stay on with Disney for another 3 years. Oh. So this was the board of directors for Disney unanimously agreed to extend Bob Chapek's contract for another 3 years to spot numerous public controversies that have gone on with the company over the last 6 months alone. So with the full backing of the board of directors, Chapek is going to stay on another 3 years. Susan Arnold, who is the company's board, the chairman of the board, preemptively put into all the naysayers that were saying that, he mishandled the whole don't say gay thing. You need to get rid of him. She pretty much said a couple weeks ago that she's staying with him 100%. And they pretty much solidified that by giving him a 3-year extension. So the quote that we have from Susan here was that Disney was dealt a tough hand during the pandemic, Yet with Bob at the helm, our businesses, from our parks to our streaming, not only weathered the storm, but emerged in a position of strength. In this important time of business growth and transformation, we are committed to keeping Disney on the successful path that it is on today, and that Bob and his leadership team will have the full support and confidence of the board of directors. So the board is 100% behind Bob right now. The reason why Bob is getting so much praise from the board is that he was the one that oversaw the creation of Disney Plus, which is a streaming service that has now netted Disney an extra $8 billion a year just from the Disney Plus alone. So on top of all the other stuff that Disney is making money off of, that's been another extra $8 billion in revenue just off of that alone. So the shareholders are apparently happy. The board is apparently happy, so they're sticking with them. Now, obviously, with the Bob, there's been a lot of missteps over the last 6 months. It all started with the parental right bill with Florida and the war with Rob DeSantis. Initially, he said that he wasn't going to take a side on whether they were going to make a decision or make a statement about how they felt about the parental bill, which is basically saying that you couldn't teach sexual ideology and transgenderism to children between kindergarten and third grade. He initially said they weren't going to take a stance. I guess the progressive lobby within his own company revolted against him, forced him to take a stance. And not only did he take a stance, he pretty much said that to my fellow colleagues, our LGBTQ community, thanks for all of you that reached out to share your pain, frustration, and sadness over the company's response to a Florida Don't Say Gay bill. Speaking to you, reading your messages, and meeting with you has helped us better understand that our silence was painful. The silence of a multinational corporation, by the way. So because of that, they got into a war with Rob DeSantis in the state of Florida. So Rob DeSantis decided that he was going to end the governing exemptions that Disney held over Reedy Creek Improvement District, which basically Disney had essentially their own government down in a little small area of Florida that they've occupied for years. They got that back in like the 60s when they were trying to approve tourism to the state of Florida. And Disney essentially taking advantage of that for many, many years. But that's gone now. I think that's going to be official next year when those rights end. So Disney's going to be up for a lot more tax liability and a lot more cost just out of that alone. Other issues that have hit them since the whole reaction to the Florida bill, there's been numerous videos and interviews exposing how Disney's court executives have talked about having a not so subtle gay agenda in their programming, which means that in programming aimed for kids, like on Disney Channel, Disney Plus, they've had a lot of content that's had stuff like drag queens, non-binary characters, LGBTQ characters. One of the big examples of this was they rebooted the Proud Family, and they turned one of the Proud Family characters non-binary, and they focused the series on one new character that has two gay dads as well. So a lot of executives have come out and said that they've put a lot of things into their stories as far as that goes. We saw that with Lightyear, with the whole situation with them putting the LGBTQ character in that film and all the backlash that led to publicly. And a lot of things have had negative reactions on the company's price over the last few months, and just the perception of the company itself. Now, when I took this article, the stock price was about $95, which is down almost 40% just from where it was at the beginning of the year, and about 45% from where it was last year. So they've taken a huge hit. Lightyear, as we talked about earlier, is probably on pace to lose about $100 to $150 million at this point. After its third week in the box office, it still hasn't recouped its production budget, which is $200 million. And God knows how many other costs they have on top of that. So that's going to be another massive money loser. So right now,
it hasn't even recouped $100 million yet. It's at $98.6 million domestic as of today. Domestic, not worldwide.
Worldwide,
yeah. Because I'm not sure what it is worldwide, but I'm sure they're making their money there. But
last time I checked worldwide, I think they were at about 160 worldwide, which is still bad, especially when you're now for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the number right now is at 161 million. So even if it makes like 200 million, you're probably still looking at about another 150 million dollars at losses. And that's only to assume that their break even is maybe like 400, 500 million. So who knows just how much that movie's going to lose. So right now they're kind of looking at next week with Thor: Love and Thunder, and if that one doesn't, blow up the box office the way that they're expecting, I mean, they could be in some trouble here, moving forward. So, but whether they're in trouble or not, they're sticking with their CEO. So that's kind of the question right now. How do you guys think about Disney essentially doubling down and saying we're staying the course despite all that's happened? I'll go ahead and start with Cassie, and we'll move around.
Well, first off, I want to say they're racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic for keeping a cis white male at the head of the as CEO. So if they were really about that life, they would have went out of their way to bring in a black trans woman to take over his role if they really were about
really
that
a
life.
Man. And that's really a man. So there you go. That's tricky.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it goes to show, man, these people, they're just all about money. They don't really care about any of their values that they claim to hold. And I mean, hey, I'm personally glad that they kept him. I think he's amazing at fucking things up, and I love to see Disney fuck up. So for me, it's a win.
Josh, what do you think about Disney doubling down on Chapek?
Well, it's a bit of it's kind of bittersweet, right? Because I don't want to repeat what Cassie said, but I pretty much agree with everything she said. So I don't in that sense. I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward. Here's the thing, though. He's doubling down here in the West, right? Because when it comes to promoting your movie in China or I don't know any other country or whatever, they're just not doubling down. They're just removing all the scenes that may be problematic or whatever, right? So they consider problematic, and that's another thing. It makes them even more of a hypocrite, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So those are hypocritical stances in that sense, because again, they're just trying to shove all of these politics down your throats, but they're not really. It's like, well, because China is like, a big market or whatever, maybe we're not going to try to do that. And remember, again, like I said, like a few streams ago, all of the best versions of the movies are probably the ones that are going to be, or maybe are not going to be released in China. But that's the version that you want to watch. That doesn't have the gay kids, the one that is not really trying to push all those identity politics down your throat. And it's like, that's the problem. It's hypocritical. At least try to be, even like, again, I don't want to repeat myself or repeat what Cassie said, but they're all about money. That's all they care about.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they did say that they didn't edit the movie for like places for like China and Saudi Arabia, so they ended up getting those movies banned in those countries, which wasn't exactly the smartest financial decision, considering the fact that they probably could use that money. If they had just edited that stuff out, they probably wouldn't be swimming in as much crap as they are right now. So, Rob, what is your thoughts on Disney as a whole?
Well, I just think it's funny that, I mean, we have to remember that this is a business driven by money. It's driven by box office success.
Exactly.
And the fact that we have these corporations that are driven solely by profit, and they are good at when the creative aspect has to be there, but driven by profit to be preaching about ideology about how to be a good citizen, and these are the values we care about. And it's like, you care about money, you care about the bottom line. Stop pretending that you're virtuous. Stop pretending that you offer some kind of value in terms of how society should be, or society how to live their lives in terms of just people in their everyday. And so, like, that's the big takeaway from this, is just like, it makes no sense for corporations to preach or try to like condescend to people on what makes a good citizen, because it's like all you care about is making money. Yeah. And I mean, Disney as a company, I've disliked them for a long time, just because they tend to make just stuff for families and kids and more of that. And up until recently, I think they've been a well-regarded company. But since they took on Marvel, since they took on Star Wars, they've really just gone a different direction.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the whole Star Wars debacle. I mean, we can go on a topic on that one as well. TW, just kind of to catch you up here. So obviously, Disney is keeping their CEO for another 3 years, despite the fact that they lost their status in Florida. They obviously got a lot of parents angry at them, and their whole market share is supposed to be family-friendly entertainment. Their stock prices is down, a whole bunch of other things, but they're sticking with their CEO. So what do you think of that decision to kind of double down on everything that they've done?
I think it's a very foolish decision, and I think it's gonna definitely wind up leading to their demise. It's just because you're a family-oriented company and you have families mad at you. The main people you're supposed to be trying to please is like the family, just basically like, families and stuff like that, and children. But you're choosing to stick with this CEO. I don't know why. Maybe he must bring something very special to the table. If not, then I don't know why. It's gonna literally just lead to your downfall. It's as simple as that. But I can't say I'm surprised.
It is worth noting.
It's that Disney Plus money, the $8 billion in profits. That's probably why they re-signed it for 3 years.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. It is worth noting that another move that Chapek made that angered a lot of people behind the scenes was the fact that he got rid of Peter Rice, who was one of their top executives at Disney. And then a lot of people were saying that he may have been the guy to replace Chapek, and then Chapek went and guys undercut him and kicked him out the door before he even got the opportunity, which caused a lot of people to be upset. But like I said, clearly the board doesn't care, and as we saw in the article, it's like, hey, he got us another extra $8 billion in revenue, so that's the only thing that we're looking at. We don't care about all this other stuff that's going on with the company, but it feels like something's going to have to change with either the leadership or kind of their own employees, because remember, Bob Chapek tried to basically like walk away from the situation by saying that, hey, look, we're not going to talk about the whole thing with Florida. That's not our deal. It's not our place. And then his own employees, the one at Pixar, the one that went at bat for the whole thing with Lightyear, were the ones that turned on him. So they started making public statements. They started demanding that he take their spot, and then it kind of blew up on the whole company's face. So I don't know if you guys follow Eric July, Young Ripper on YouTube. He talked about this a lot by saying that you got to stop hiring these SJWs to their company, because they're only going to be a liability at this point. And as we're saying that, especially with Disney and Pixar, their own employees are a liability to them. So something's going to have to break eventually there, right?
Well, that's not good business. That's not good business sense in terms of you have these. The CEO is supposed to serve the board, like the shareholders. He's not supposed to necessarily serve the employees in terms of good business sense.
Right.
And so that's a very strange thing to do. I mean, you want to have a hostile work environment, but that's bad. It's technically bad for business.
Yeah, but do you think that those progressive employees at Pixar understand how a CEO is actually supposed to work? Like to them, he's just another millionaire that they complain about whenever they talk about like Bernie Sanders or something like that. So I was going to go to Josh, because Josh had a point too.
Yeah, it's kind of like a similar situation with Netflix and Ted Sarandos, right? When he was supporting Dave Chappelle last year, and then all of the work employees started, organizing all these walkouts or whatever, right? And at one point he was like, "Well, I don't really support Dave Chappelle or whatever, right?" And he's starting backing down on his decision to do this. Again, but this one thing that they actually did that Disney's, I don't know if they're doing or not, because apparently they're not, is the thing that Netflix at least went like, well, if you don't like it here, we're still going to keep streaming all this content. If it's offensive for you, you can just quit, right?
Yeah.
And that's it's interesting though, because Netflix at the moment, even one of the most woke.
Spencer clearly wants to lose more money. So
I don't know what is still going on about James Corden, man. What?
I don't know. You triggered something in him by bringing up like British people. Or something like that.
Shouldn't have brought it up. Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say, but whatever, right? So comparison Netflix, Disney, but all the employees, the work employees are bullying their the CEOs, and they're bending the knee, and that is a problem.
Just fire them.
That's the thing. You got the power to fire them.
That's the problem is that they know that if they just be like, okay, look, all these employees that in Disney that are causing the ruckus, if we just go ahead and fire them, what's going to happen is that now we're going to have a media shitstorm because now the headline is going to be Disney fires LGBTQ employees targeting, siding with Ron DeSantis and stuff like that. Like they already know how the media is going to spin it. So instead of just addressing the clear-cut problem within their own ranks, they'd rather just sit there and let it fester. And in hopes that, well, maybe if we just wait a few months, then like slowly and quietly get rid of people, it won't be as big as a backlash as a national story. Then just firing everyone who rightfully probably should be fired. In all honesty.
Yeah.
All right. Any other last thoughts on this one before we move on to our next topic?
Not at all. I'm good.
Yeah.
Disney has their own news, right? They own ABC News. It's
Disney has their own everything.
It's just like it's a never-ending shit show of like they got this company and that company and that company and
dude, they own what? ESPN, ABC. They got Hulu. They got ESPN Plus. They got Disney Plus now. They got all the Disney networks. They own half of A&E. They have that in their pocket. They have like the 20th Century Fox. They just bought that one out. Right. They have Pixar. They have Marvel. They have Star Wars. It's like you go run down to the gamut. That doesn't even include like their theme parks, which is actually like their main source of like revenue. It's just the theme parks alone.
That's insane. Well, and that's another thing though. According to some leftists, and Seth MacFarlane created the Family Guy, they also own Fox News, and they can fire Tucker Carlson, but they don't. And it's like, no, that is a completely different. Well, it's Fox News. It's not Fox. It's not Fox. It's a different company.
No, Fox is Fox Corp now because the monopoly laws wouldn't allow them to own like two news stations, so they couldn't own Fox and ABC simultaneously. So they have to create this one separate thing. Yeah. And then Spencer asked, do they own the WNBA? Well, they own the network that the WNBA games are shown on. So, I mean, technically they do.
I would assume.
Yeah.
How much does that league cost? Like $1 million? Something incredibly cheap.
I think we might have brought this up after the show, but we were saying like, in Los Angeles, they have, you guys know like Staples Center, like the big arena in LA, right? So in Los Angeles, if you were to get like one of the box suites, was one of the luxury suites for a Lakers game, you would probably be spending somewhere about $5-10 grand just on those tickets alone because of the demand. Do you know how much the demand were for the LA Sparks for the exact same arena? $20, and people still wouldn't go. Like, imagine telling somebody, "I'll give you $20. You can sit at a luxury box suite to watch a WNBA game," and then you say, "No, I won't go."
Damn.
I saw this skit on Instagram today where this guy was like, "Here, do you want $1 or WNBA tickets?" And every time they took the $1.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if the actual NBA wasn't subsidizing the WNBA, they would have folded at least 20 years ago, and everyone knows it. Yeah. All right, then let's move on to our last topic before we hit up to review. And I know Spencer's jealous because a show that actually has structure, he doesn't know nothing about that. But we're going to talk about a story here about another streaming services. It's Paramount. So the Paramount CEO came out and he essentially said that he doesn't believe in censoring older content, because modern day progressives find it offensive. Now, this is something that's happened on virtually every streaming service that you could think of. Netflix has done this, Disney Plus, Peacock, NBC Universal. They go back and they find things that are deemed to be offensive, and that gets pulled from the network. These things that happened 20 years ago, mind you, things that people universally thought was funny, but because it's not quote unquote up to modern standards, they'll get rid of it. Well, Paramount CEO talked about this. His name is Bob Chapek. I don't know why there's so many CEOs in the industry named Bob. I mean, maybe somebody should look into that, but go down there today. So the topic was about how he broached the topic of historical changes in their catalog. So obviously with Paramount, this is a studio that's been around forever. And I'm pretty sure that if you go through the entire catalog of everything that they've done as far as movies, television shows, cartoons, whatever the case may be, you might find something that someone in 2022 will find offensive, right? Well, instead of just going back there and removing it, which a lot of streaming services does, he had a different approach. He says that by definition, you have some things that were made in a different time that reflected different sensibilities. I don't believe in censoring art that was made historically. That was made historically. That's probably a mistake. So he went on to address, audience members who may feel compelled to, to essentially contact the studio, wherever the case may be, about availability. He says it's all on demand. You don't have to watch everything. You don't have to watch anything you don't want to. I mean, if there's something on there you find offensive, you can just simply not watch it. They have other content warnings on there and stuff that says, no, hey, this may be offensive to whatever the case may be. And if that's the case, you don't have to watch the content that's on there. So instead of censoring things outright, which a lot of companies have done, he just says, hey, look, it's on there. It was made in a different time. Maybe someone will find it offensive, but we're not going to do it. So this is in response to what a lot of companies have done. And mostly it's been what I've noticed with a lot of these streaming services is regarding the issue of blackface. A lot of these companies have removed episodes of popular TV shows that may have had blackface during the certain segments. Perfect example of this, Hulu removed about 3 episodes of Always Sunny in Philadelphia because those were the episodes where they were doing the Lethal Weapon parody. Yeah. So obviously they would have Matt dressed up as Danny Glover in the film as part of their parody. Now those were very, very funny episodes, but because the issue of quote unquote blackface is deemed offensive, regardless of the context, they got rid of it altogether. NBC Universal recently got rid of episodes of WWE, most notably the DX parody of 1998, where D-Generation X mocked the Nation of Domination, where you had Triple H dressed as The Rock, you had X-Pac dressed as Mark Henry, and so far and so forth. That was considered blackface, so that segment of that episode got completely removed from Peacock altogether. Here on the article that Spencer wrote, Netflix got rid of an episode of The Office for the same reason, because of black jokes that they were deemed offensive. There's also episodes of Community, as you see here in the photo, that was removed because one of the characters, the Asian character, wore blackface during that segment as well. And then you can see a number of issues here. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which was part of HBO Max, they had some stereotypical black jokes in one of their episodes that was removed. So you see the trend here for a lot of these networks is that if there's something that's deemed offensive in modern time, we have to just get rid of it altogether, right? So Paramount is essentially taking an opposite reaction to saying that, hey, look, we're not going to get rid of it. If you truly don't like the content that much, you simply just don't watch it, which I think is a step that a lot of people would agree with, but obviously some people have a problem with. So
it's reasonable.
It's reasonable, right? So I want to go ahead and I'll start this off with TW. I think we'll just go around this one. So what do you think of Paramount basically saying, hey, look, we're not going to censor things just because certain people don't like it in modern time?
I think it's a great approach. It's like the approach that most streaming services should take if they choose to. Definitely, man, because at the end of the day, all this shit's on demand and there's plenty of other stuff, plenty of other programs for you to choose from. Why choose one to get pissed off at and just like look at that and like get pissed off at it when there's plenty of non-offensive stuff that the streaming service offers? It's just stupid to want that taken off just because you find it offensive. Just go watch something else. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's refreshing. I mean, I'm against censorship really of any kind, so I think it's very welcome. However, I will say this: I don't know if this is the same CEO of Paramount Plus who, when South Park came to their platform, they took down episodes. So I don't know how much that was just like an initial thing they did, and then now they're not about it. Or if it's the success of Top Gun Maverick. I'm not sure why. What's kind of getting the CEO to speak to the media about this. If something's coming to the platform that might push buttons. I mean, Paramount is one of the more conservative companies because they own CBS. CBS is always like literally like old people have it on to fall asleep to. That's why they get rated. We're the highest rated network, and it's like because people leave you on to fall asleep to NCIS and the shows that run for 20 seasons, like The Big Bang Theory. But yeah, it's I am very skeptical about stuff like this because it's still a big media company. and they still want to protect their bottom line. So it's nice PR, but I'm going to remain skeptical over this. But yeah, it's a good first step.
Real quick before I go to Josh, I'm trying to clarify because it's South Park should be on Paramount Plus, not HBO Max, right?
It's on both.
It's on both.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think HBO Max might have been the one that censored it, but I have to check and make sure. But while I figure that out, I'll go to Josh on his thoughts on Paramount refusing to censor.
Well, the good thing is that at Paramount, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau can wear blackface again and not get any repercussions and will not be censored. So it's like, right. So no, I think it's actually the right thing to do. Is the right thing. Yes, you approach it that way. If you're offended, just don't watch it. And if you're offended because there's content that may offend you or may trigger you, then it's just don't subscribe to it. It's simple as that. So I think that's the right approach. I will be repeating everything everyone else has said because I 100% agree with that as well. It's actually made me consider subscribing to it. There you go.
And just really quick, just with what people are saying in the chat, Viacom is the company that I believe owns CBS and Comedy Central and a bunch of the
yes.
I think they recently rebranded all that to Paramount, but it's usually CBS Viacom.
Right.
Yeah, you're correct. Cassie, what do you think?
Well, I do oppose censorship, and this is a good move on Paramount's part. I mean, the whole constantly trying to keep up with the censorship shit. I mean, we're dealing with an age of people that are offended by every fucking thing, every day, every week. It's some new bullshit to be angry about. So why appease these people? Because all they do is they just want to squeal and screech about everything that offends them because they just want to remain relevant in some way, and victimhood is the easiest one. So yeah, I'm glad that they just said outright we're not going to appeal to these people, and preserving art the way it is, even if it's something I don't agree with. At the end of the day, I do always side with seeing the true depiction of what the artists wanted to do. And there's some things that I think didn't age well. Some things I'm completely against, but they existed and they're part of our history. And I don't think that they should be washed away at all.
Yeah. And I do want to bring this up real quick too, because Paramount has signaled, there's one point I want to make before I talk about that one, is that, so Paramount's really the only company right now that's just kind of like, hey, look, if you don't like certain things that are on our content, just simply like don't watch it. That seems to be the easy approach, right? It seems to be the most reasonable approach. But a lot of these other companies, for some reason, like Disney, just can't simply make that same adjustment by saying that, hey, we're not going to like remove certain things because certain people find it offensive. And it feels like the reason why we got to this point as a society is because a lot of these mega corporations, these multinational corporations, can't simply tell the outrage mob, no, like we're just not going to do it, right? Because everyone's worried about how this is going to affect, their stock price. They're worried about how it's going to affect, their popularity. They have no problem with pissing off the other half of the country, though. So some of them do it a third of the world. But when it comes to actually telling these outrage mob people who go around saying that, hey, this episode of Always Sunny has blackface, I'm offended, get rid of it, and then immediately caving due to that, we don't have any of the real people in media saying that no, we're just simply not going to do that. Now, the other point I wanted to bring up is that Paramount is one of the major corporations that have signaled that they may be selling off assets here in the near future. So obviously the Fox deal 4 years ago was a major one when Disney bought 24th Century Fox. They bought a lot of the TV rights, a lot of the studios and whatnot. I've heard a lot of things over the last few years that NBC Universal may be interesting in merging with CBS and with Paramount, which would suck because we said this before. Me and Rob talked about this many times. There used to be upwards of like over 30 different studios. There's even more than that. That was just back in like in the 80s. But now we're down to a point where if they were to merge, now we're down to what, three major studios at that point, which would be Disney, Universal, and Warner. And then what else do you have like left there? I think that's another part of the problem, that you have such a small pool of like actual studios now that is basically just being controlled by a handful of people, and no one seems to notice it and be bothered by it. But anyone else want to jump in on this one?
No, I said what I need to say.
All right then. Well, there we go. Well, we're an hour in, and that's the makeup portion of our of our Black Pill stream for all the topics that we were supposed to get to then, and we didn't get to in the course of 3 hours. So
right, it's like I feel like that's like criticism. It's like, Spencer, you're hearing this?
Yeah,
the Black Pill could have been over in like an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's almost like you're just holding people hostage now. It's like,
well, to be fair, I was auditioning, so I probably talked a lot more and went on and on and on more than I needed to. So
yeah, sure, no, we'll just blame Spencer. It's just easier.
Okay,
if we
that's
just
fine.
It's just easier for all of us if we just do that.
Okay.
So another thing that I wanted to do, because I got a lot of questions about this. Now, unfortunately, we had already selected our movies that we're going to review for Monday's stream. So if you're sticking around Monday night, me, Rob, Rick Angorn, Matt's Movie Reviews, and I'm hoping that Sarah comes along. I finally got in contact with Sarah, but I just haven't got a response back of having her back. So I'm still trying to work on getting her on and see if she'll be down as well. But this Monday night, we're going to be talking about the two films, Minions, which I saw recently. I think Rob saw it too.
No, I got to see it tomorrow morning. Nope, I'm going tomorrow morning.
And then the other film is The Princess, which I just saw earlier today. And I'm not sure if you've had a chance to see that movie yet, but
nope.
I'll put it this way. It's exactly what you expected it was going to be. And which is kind of disappointing, because I was hoping that it would be a little bit better, but we'll get into more details of exactly what went wrong with that movie. So we're going to be doing that on Monday. I have been getting a lot of requests to talk about the Beavis and Butt-Head movie. The problem is that there wasn't exactly a whole lot to go off of to review that one, and then I had to squeeze it in. So I was like, I asked you guys, it's like, well, if you guys want to go ahead and watch the movie, and then we'll talk about it on Friday. Everyone said yes, with the exception of Josh, because, I don't know what's going on. I'm just throwing Josh under the bus now. He's sorry. But
it felt like a stab in the back, mate.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think that's a stab in the back, you can see what Spencer's doing in our chat right now. He's not very happy with some of the things that we've said moving forward. So, but so we're gonna go ahead and talk about the Beavis and Butt-Head movie real quick. Now, I want to play a clip here. I don't know how much of the clip that we're going to be able to show on YouTube. I guess we'll find out here in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to remind you, if you watch this on YouTube, we are streaming on Twitch right now as well. So if you go down on YouTube, we'll still be on Twitch. And then if we do go down on YouTube, we'll be back in a couple of seconds. This happened before, so it's not a big deal. So I wanted to play this because this is essentially the clip that went around that everyone was talking about, which got us to talk about this film, Beavis and Butt-Head. So let's go ahead and show you guys this little short clip of the film here. Yes, that was the clip from the new Beavis and Butt-Head. Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe. So this was a show, obviously, that when I first heard of it, I was kind of, hesitant about, because every time we hear that they're going to be a reboot or a sequel of something, you're just going to be like, oh, God, they're going to find a way to ruin it, right? Yeah. But Mike Judge is back here.
Oh, yeah, there's no way you're going to be able to civilize those two idiots.
So the movie obviously is on Paramount Plus. We watched it earlier. I think everyone here has anyone here not seen it? I think everyone here has seen it, right?
No, I was supposed to, but I never got the chance.
Did everyone else watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the film, I think you could safely say that this is, if you're a Beavis and Butt-Head fan, this is exactly what you're going to expect. You want the old classic Beavis and Butt-Head. They stay true to form. They don't go any kind of like stupid like woke direction that makes you want to change the channel. Like this is, we were expecting a Beavis and Butt-Head movie in 2022, and this is exactly the movie that you wanted to see, that you hoped you were guided. Right. So to kind of give a little bit of background exactly like what the film is about and how we got to this point. So the film starts off in 1998. So it started like in the late 90s. I guess that's where they took off from the original series. And Beavis and Butt-Head are at a high school science fair where they incidentally burned down the entire high school. So they end up going to trial and they get sentenced to space camp because the judge thinks that they're just upstanding young men that need a second chance. So they send them to space camp. And Beavis and Butt-Head, being the characters that they are, somehow think to themselves that there's this chick at NASA who's going to want to have sex with them up in space. So everything is lost in translation. They do all of these rigorous tests to become astronauts. They fly into space and things go wrong almost immediately. So they get sucked into a black hole, which actually sends them back to Earth. But they get sent back to Earth in modern times in 2022. So they're still the same age that they were back in the 90s, but now they're in modern times. There's things like cell phones, and like room service, and then like all of these like apps that just go completely over their head. But now they're on the radar of the government who think that they're aliens. So of course they want to kill them. And then the woman who they thought wanted to have sex with them has now become, I think, the governor now, if I'm not mistaken. I think she was the governor. So of course she doesn't want anyone to know that she tried to have them killed almost 20-something years ago. So she goes around and looks for them too. It becomes this giant wacky adventure. Let's go ahead and go around the horn here for the guys who watched the movie. Yeah. Obviously, you guys have seen the Beavis and Butt-Head TV show up to before this, right? Like you guys are familiar with Beavis and Butt-Head. Oh, yeah. Not Cassie, right? What? No one here to watch it outside of Rob, maybe?
No, I've watched it, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll start with Josh, since you're the person who remembers the original Beavis and Butt-Head film. After watching this one, did this one live up to your expectations of what the original TV show actually presented?
Yeah, look, I was like, at first I was like, okay, they're pretty much reusing the same plot as the first movie, right? Because it's always the same thing, right? So we want to score, right? And
yeah,
it's kind of like the same thing because the story actually revolves around them, but not in the same. Like they are completely oblivious, and that's funny because you see all of the other characters are basically, just that's what the way it is, right? So they don't really know what's going on, and you're just kind of enjoying seeing that. And I absolutely love the movie from beginning to end. Like I don't really want to spoil it for the other year because honestly, it was the movie.
It's cool. I already know what I'm pretty much gonna expect from that point on.
Oh yeah, well, and there's like one character that I thought that the first time they joked about this. So the guy that got interrupted by the Serena, right? And he was like, okay, just immediately nodding, and I was like, all right, this is funny. And then they did it the second time, then a third time, then a fourth time, and I was like laughing every time they did it. And it's like a recurring, right? So it's basically that's a part of the joke, right? And he actually ends up becoming the villain at one point. I was like the villain, right? It's the one character that actually gets killed off at the end of the movie, and I was like, yeah, all right, I can see it.
Yeah,
I kind of like this as well, and but the whole thing, the it's not political commentary, but that was the one scene that I thought it was fairly political.
Yeah, that was the only real scene that took jab at basically current time.
Right, like I could see as well some maybe some comparisons. The maybe Hillary Clinton, right? With the Serena character, especially because she was like, well, I'm very proud of the fact that I killed these two, back in the 90s. It's like, I don't know, like I just like I can see
it just seems like it's everything that the 2010 version.
Right, like the just Lane Maxwell or whatever. Like I could see some things in there that they're not in the movie, but I was like, oh yeah, this is probably the Democrat governor of Texas in the movie. I don't know. It was funny seeing that, even though it's not really implied. Like I kind of could see it as well. Yeah, absolutely love the movie. Actually want to watch it again and watch the first one as well as a show. And I know that a second coming is coming, right? The show is apparently Mike Judge said that they're making a show again. Nice. I didn't know that. So. Yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, me too.
All right. I want to go to the Cassie with this one before I go in more in depth with Rob. But Cassie, what did you think of watching the movie as someone who hasn't watched the original Beavis and Butt-Head?
So One thing I do realize now is why one of my friends acts the way that they do. Yeah, I know someone that acts like those two fucking idiots in real life.
Oh, good lord.
So that's interesting. Now I have a better understanding of why I hate his guts sometimes. But he's still good people's though. But yeah, but it is interesting. It is funny. I managed to find it funny and also face palmed in the process too. But I did like the art style. It was pretty good for the movie. And I think it's hilarious that the governor chick, what is her name, Serena, like she is a typical leftist like female. And she's like so typical. It's like everything that she did, from talking over the dude that was like under her all the time, and it's just, you could tell. And then the fact that she became governor and she's this corrupt bitch. I mean, it was very noticeable for someone who does stay up to date with politics and has a general idea of what's going on. But yeah, that scene that you did play, I was dying because like, yeah, I mean, I guess with how stupid they are, of course they would use their white privilege and go along with it. And I appreciate the movie. You know, even though I've never really been a fan of Beavis and Butt-Head because I just never watched them, but I appreciate it because in essence it is counterculture. So anything that spits in the face of what is the acceptable narrative, I'm cool with it.
Did you watch the first one?
Never. I've never
Go
watched any Beavis and Butt-Head.
Go watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably
it's really good.
So I wanted to get into this with Rob because obviously, if you guys have seen the movie, the running theme is that obviously Beavis and Butt-Head are just complete idiots. Like, they're probably the lowest of IQ. But what makes the movie funny, what makes it work, is that everyone around them is just as dumb because they keep thinking that these two are actually smart, that they're actually just normal, like teenagers. So they'll, even though they're complete idiots, everyone around them just reacts to them like, oh, they're just normal everyday kids, and then they make the situation just so much worse around them. So, Rob, I wanted to go and get your thoughts on the film after watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like it that much. I laughed. It was funny from moment to moment, and you know, I think that's all that you're really looking for in a Beavis and Butt-Head movie.
Yeah.
So you know, I can't really judge it as a movie, you know, whatever. But it was fine. It was a nice nostalgia trip, and there's, you know, a few of those updated commentary scenes, you know, questioning the, you know, male privilege and how far you can take that. And, you know, I'll say this, not trying to spoil the ending, but at least a version of them gets laid. So, you know, there's always that. So, yeah, good for them, man.
Well, just to clarify, it was only one of them. It wasn't both of them. So.
That's right. The watcher. The other guy watched. That's right.
Who hid in the corner? Yeah, I mean, for a film like this, it's like I guess I'm like one of the few people. I guess TW also watched the original Beavis and Butt-Head.
Yes.
So you kind of understand like the setup going in. It's like, okay, these guys are just the dumbest of the dumb. But they get into like these nefarious situations of like the people in town and whatnot, which always calls for like wacky adventures. So for me, if they just stay true to that, then I would say the movie would have just been fine for me. Like, obviously it wouldn't have been like the best movie of the year or anything like that, but just a fun Beavis and Butt-Head movie for people who have seen it for years. And Josh had mentioned it before. They actually rebooted it back in like 2010, and they did a pretty solid job there too. So this is actually going to be like the second or like third reboot of the series that they're bringing it back for 2022 as well. So yeah, for me, that was just kind of my expectation. Could they stay true to the character and Beavis and Butt-Head without, you know, destroying it like so many other stuff is done? And to me, that they did a great job of that. I think Mike Judge pretty much knocked it out of the park. And it kind of just shows you that, you know, there are still guys that kind of care about their legacy and like their characters. And this could have easily been something far, far worse than what it was. But because the right people were in charge, it ended up being something that was pretty good and pretty entertaining. I did want to ask you guys, without spoiling too much, what was your favorite bit in the film? Like, what was did you felt was the best part? Was it?
So
go ahead, Rob.
Go real quick, like, because Cassie was right about Serena. sort of like neoliberal woman who's just like very much like domineering and stuff. It's like the because they thought she died or whatever, and the guy's like, well, when I'm in charge, things are gonna be different around here. And then she comes popping up. He's like, oh, what?
Cassie, what was your favorite bit of the film?
It's kind of hard to say. I like the clip that you played. I mean, the ending where one of them ended up getting laid, that was also entertaining. Overall, the movie was interesting in every key part, like, the beginning, middle, and end. I just like the fact that they were able to like the way that they made the movie, they were able to keep like Beavis and Butthead so fucking oblivious in the most convenient way possible. Their whole goal is just to get laid, and how they managed to keep that whole thing going where nobody understands the other was really well done.
Yeah,
like
the part where like you need Beavis to watch the first movie.
Yeah. Like the part where like Beavis is talking to Siri, he thinks the whole time it's like an actual woman on the phone.
That's actually one of my favorite moments in the movie. I was about to say, because the whole thing, them not understanding modern day technology, and all these deep, heartfelt conversations, and I was like, yes, this is just great. This is the one thing that obviously Beavis was going to be doing, right? So, and but the other scene that I thought was really, really good is the emotional moment when they actually, go their separate ways, because they have this fight or whatever. And I was like, man, I wasn't expecting to have this scene, and it actually works. And I was like, how do they make this whole scene work? I don't know. It was actually, I kind of felt like, the throwing my throat as well.
Yeah. So I was like, like I said, for a film about two absolute idiots, there's a lot of smart things about how they kind of like set up the movie, and like a lot of the instances is that obviously they couldn't keep the film set like in the 1990s because it would be like a lot of like issues that they would have to run across. So finding this completely like out of this world, borderline asinine way to bring Beavis and Butthead to the modern world, but because of the characters, it actually like makes sense that you don't even like question it, like how all of these things happen to them. And like I said, there's a lot of very smart and clever bits. My favorite one, honestly, which was just so dumb, was the one where they took the guy's phone and they started like going around town, like spending all the stuff on Apple Pay. So there's this whole montage where they're just going to like several different restaurants, but they would only get nachos from like every single one. It's like they're so simple. Their whole mind is like, I have a phone that can give me whatever I want. Let's just get an endless supply of nachos, and then that's all we need. So there's a lot of bits like that I just absolutely like love about the movie. Was there anything that kind of, I guess, disappointed you about the film, or anything that you didn't like as much? Was there any kind of negatives that you had about the film? I'll start with Cassie.
I can't really think of any. I wasn't disappointed with the film, but I had no expectations because I never really seen the show or previous movie. So I really wasn't expecting it to be like a great piece of film, but I was just pleasantly surprised more than anything else that the creator had the balls to actually, continue the series the way that people ideally remember it for. And I think that's important. I think a great thing to express is that if you are a creator of your property, keep control of that. Don't be a George Lucas. Don't sell it to these giant corporations because they will completely destroy your creative vision that you originally have with the show or any property that you may so own. If you're a creator, just hold on to your product for as long as you can until you die, essentially. So
otherwise you'll go out like George Lucas, and we all know how that ended for everyone involved. Rob, did you have any negatives about the film? Anything that you think they did as well as they could have done as far as the movie itself?
No, I mean, I think that they executed what they wanted to. I'm just trying to think like overall, it was a fairly like easy kind of, movie to take in. I don't necessarily have any faults with it. It just wasn't, you know what I mean? Like it's not something that we're going to base like, a deep level of storytelling on. It's just kind of there for entertainment, and it did its job.
Josh, anything that you noted about the film that you maybe didn't like?
Oh, I didn't No, there's absolutely nothing that I didn't like about the movie. Even the animation itself, I thought it was like really great as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's hand drawn 100%, but
Nah, no way.
It looked great.
Not
Like,
anymore.
the movie looked great.
It looks good for not being hand drawn because there's no way that they would
It's
spend
not hand drawn.
the time
to
hand draw.
That was actually the one thing. I don't know how to send you the image though, because I saw in one scene when they're escaping. No, they're actually not escaping. They're chasing. They're chasing Serena at the end of the movie, and at one point the car clips through one of the stores. It's just so weird. I don't know how to send I guess I'm just gonna send it over Twitter.
I mean, you can also screen check it too. I can just like share it with you. I'll pull it up.
Oh yeah, no, hold on.
Oh, the share at the bottom.
Yeah.
I got it. You guys can talk about whatever.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
Exactly right. But so I just kind of want to give the final thoughts on the movie. I know, like me and Rob usually like do ratings. You guys can just give it whatever you want. But for me, this is just a pretty solid like 3.5 out of 5 like movie. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's not really supposed to be anything like more than that. I think, like I said, it's playing up to the fans of the original series. And I think fans of the original series are going to love this movie. So, like I said, it's not the greatest thing. It's not definitely not one of the top movies of the year. But for fans of the series, if you just want to watch like a fun movie that you can waste your time with, I think it pretty much does its job. So yeah, I'll give it 3.5 out of 5. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5. It's funny. It, for the most part, keeps your attention, even if it's kind of a nonsensical and crazy adventure that you're on for these guys to get laid. And that they fool people into thinking they're geniuses at NASA, and it's just like I don't know if it's commentary on modern society that we're dumber now because we're more accepting of idiots telling us that that they have the keys or the answers to things, but. I like Mike Judge. I think he's really talented. Office Space and Idiocracy are really fantastic satires that seem to be more relevant as time goes on. So a lot of that humor's in there. There's some C Lab 2021 type of humor. If you guys are familiar with like Frisky Dingo or Archer, it's some of these like awkward silences, some really funny like exchanges between characters. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I just thought it was really solid and just, keeps your interest all throughout.
Nice. Cassie, what would you give the film a final rating?
I mean, I'm not really much for giving numbers to anything. So I just say I really liked it. I actually make it my personal
you can also do you can also do a thumbs up or thumbs down. We'll make
yes,
it go.
Yes, definitely a thumbs up. If you notice any of the reviews I do, I never give a score. I refuse to. So I mean, I understand why reviewers do it, but it's just not for me. But yeah, I think it's really good. I wish more people will see it because it's a breath of fresh air because everyone is like so fucking uptight about everything. So to see a creator do something that most people don't have the balls to do anymore, it kind of takes you back into the early 2000s and shit. So in that front, I'm thankful. I'm glad I watched it. I might check out more Beavis and Butt-Head just casually. I'm not going to be like a huge fan or anything, but it's definitely entertaining. And yeah, I just hope that we see more of this. I hope that this leads to more things choosing to be creatively free. I think that's probably the biggest thing about it that I appreciate.
Josh, final thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I think we obviously got your answer from you. So what do you grade the movie out of all?
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. And I'm actually more excited now to know that they're in 2022 with their mentality of 1998, and the creators are still, not woke. So I really, it's making me thinking of the prospect of a new TV show. And I really can't wait to see what they do. Why it's such a commentary that I'm pretty sure they're going to do. Even more so than the movie, the whole thing about the gender studies class, that was just pure gold. Yeah. And I just can't wait. Maybe they're going to start doing reaction videos, like one of the commenters said on the chat. And if they don't do that, maybe they can start doing, I don't know, reacting to tweets or whatever. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. I'm really looking forward to that show now. So 2 thumbs up, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. It's a Beavis and Butt-Head movie that I didn't even know that I wanted.
And TW, what did you grade the film? Oh yeah, that's
right.
That's right.
Oh wait, what?
It was a joke. Yeah, we were just joking.
Didn't they do a King of the Hill reboot?
Like, yeah, Spencer's been saying. Yeah, Spencer's been saying in the chat all night they are bringing back King of the Hill.
Exactly.
I don't know about Daria.
Okay.
It'd be great if Daria made a comeback, but honestly, it reminds me exactly of the original, so I'm definitely gonna enjoy it. I can tell already. These two idiots are just as stupid as ever, and now they're stupid in 2022, so it's even more going to be even more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thumbs up all around. That's pretty much our official review. If you haven't seen Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe, definitely go see it. It's a funny movie. I did want to bring up this one point. I think Josh was talking about the animation. Now, it was a quote tweet for what I had said earlier. Basically, I guess you were talking about the animation was a little bit sloppy at times. Is that what the point you were trying to get across?
That's actually the one scene that I could notice, and I was like, "Oh, what's just happened?" So I just had to rewind it, and I saw the car clipping through the window.
Yeah.
So I'm not really disappointed. But that's the one thing, and it's kind of sloppy because it's supposed to be like this, this movie, whatever big movie. It's a movie. I don't know. It's like that's the thing. But again, it's just the one thing that I noticed. One.
That's not bad. And then this is the review that I had posted. It was I thought Beavis and Butt-Head Do the Universe was going to be the most laughable thing I was going to watch today. And then I saw The Princess. And there's a sneak preview of my review for that film for those who haven't seen it yet. But we'll definitely be watching it. I know Rob, like I said, Rob is definitely looking forward to the movies. He has to watch this weekend. You can see it in his face.
Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to get those out of the way so I can get to my 4th of July watch list, because I'm actually looking forward to, seeing The Last of the Mohicans and Rocky and Yankee Doodle Dandy and Apocalypse Now again. So
yeah. All right, it'll definitely be a busy weekend for us. Well, we got ahead and got our review. We got our topics done, so I think we can end things just a little bit earlier tonight. I do have some things that I need to promote. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a chance to promote some stuff as well. So let's go ahead and start with Cult Classic Cage. What do you have to promote to show the world here coming up in the next few weeks?
Well, to be honest, I just do spur of the moment stuff, whatever I feel passionate about. But I just did a video talking about my favorite PS2 games. So if anyone wants to watch that and let me know what your personal favorite PS2 games are, I'd always love to hear that. There's so many great games on the platform, so there's too much to pick from. I had I think 7 runner-ups because it's just too much to not mention.
Exactly.
But when it comes to PS2, I have a video on that. I did a TMNT review. I talk about all sorts of entertainment, but I prefer to talk about video games, especially since you talk about film. Your video most likely won't even make it on the YouTube platform, but also, I play games on Twitch. You can follow me there, Cult Classic Cage. YouTube, same thing, Cult Classic Cage. Or if you want to talk to me personally, just hit me up on Twitter, Cult Classic Cage, same.
All right, then. Mr. Josh has told me that his headphones died, so let's see if I can give him the spotlight. He can just talk for a while. We can't hear you either, so I think your mic might have died too.
It's over.
Oh,
right. Can you hear me now?
There we go. You're back.
Good.
Thank goodness. I don't know what's going on, man. I think you're just pulling my leg, and you're the one muting me.
No, you're not Spencer. I don't mute you.
Oh gosh, yes. I'm supposed to do the outro. I don't know. You can find me somewhere. I don't know. You can find me on the. I suppose you can find me on the Black Pill, right? So you can find me on the Black Pill on Wednesdays. I'm going to start writing again. I didn't write the article that I was supposed to write, by the way, Spencer. I'm sorry, but sometimes life happens. So, but I will get it done. Hopefully, maybe even today, right? So if I drink some brewskis, I just might get the writing inspiration that I need right now. Right. So you can find me at Bounding, I suppose. Over the weekend, which is 4th of July, so congratulations for whatever. And yeah,
did something happen on the 4th of July? That was any historical significance?
Oh, we don't really have any recollection of anything happened on the 4th of July, by the way.
No, okay, just making sure. I didn't know.
and that's it.
All right, Rob, what do you got coming up?
Well, I got to watch some movies this weekend. We're doing a review of The Princess and Minions on Monday. Me and Jacob and Rick and some other people, apparently. And we're going to do the UFC drink stream tomorrow. I'm excited about that, even though I'm not sure what to expect. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to keep doing these streams. I've got some written reviews coming. Promise.
Oh, nice.
So we'll get those out, and just follow me on my Twitter down on the screen.
Cool.
Mr. TW, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah. You can find me on YouTube, which is where I usually do my general video content in gaming on, because literally instead of playthroughs, I just stream. I basically just do stream Let's Plays. I don't know if I'm the first guy to do that, but if not, but if I am, then cool. But that's how I'm going to start doing it from now on, instead of the bullshit, having to edit all that crap, Let's Plays and stuff like that. So all that gaming stuff and general video content, you can find me on YouTube. For the other entertainment stuff, reactions and tier list and all that type of stuff, you can find me on Twitch. I do that on Tuesdays, and the YouTube stuff I do on Mondays. And yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. I usually have something that I'm gonna promote, but I don't know. I guess you'll just find out on Monday.
All righty then. And now back to me, because I got a lot of stuff that I gotta promote for this week. So tomorrow is going to be our beer night, fight night, where we are live streaming the UFC main card for 276 tomorrow night. So Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier is the main event. So we're going to be watching some fights. I got some beers over here. As you can see, this is a milk stout from what is this? Left Hand Brewing Company. I got this today, so I got a pack of these. This is probably what I'll be drinking on tomorrow. So that's what's going on tomorrow. We're going to be on YouTube and Twitch for that one. So we'll be on both rather than just a Twitch exclusive. And then, of course, 2 weeks from Saturday, we'll be back doing the movie night. We'll figure out what movie we're going to watch then. We don't need to worry about that right now. So that stream tomorrow is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be 7 o'clock for you guys out on the West Coast. And then we'll watch it there. The main card usually goes 3 hours, so no big deal there. Monday night here on the YouTube channel, we're going to be reviewing Minions and the Princess with Rob, Rick, Matt's movie reviews. Hopefully next week, the week after, when we do Thor Ragnarok, we'll have Sarah Hargett on the show to review that film as well. And then Wednesday, we'll be back with the Black Pill stream. Hopefully, we'll actually talk about the topics that we advertised to talk about on that stream as well. And then, of course, we'll be back here next week as well. Tomorrow night, since it's beer night, I just wanted to plug a couple other things real quick. I know Cassie plays Fall Guys a lot on her Twitch channel. So I just got a Twitch controller. I don't know where it is. Give me a second here. There's a lot of crap around here. I don't know where exactly I put it. Oh no, it's right here.
Surrounded by it.
Yeah, I got it. It's right here. So this is the new Twitch controller.
Oh my god!
Of course, it's styled like a PS3 controller because I'm not a stupid Xbox fan like the people. Yeah.
It screams input delay.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right. and then let's not forget it is the 4th of July weekend. So
yes, sir.
I think we should I talked about how I have a cowboy hat on standby, so this was the hat here.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
Jesus!
I think I could do this, right?
Put it lower.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
Put it lower.
Oh yeah, right. I'll just put it right here.
A little lower.
Is this even backwards? I don't even know which way this is supposed to go.
I have no idea exactly.
This works a little bit better. God. I have to figure out something with the headphones. I got time to do that right now, but I will figure something out. So 4th of July weekend, we'll have a good time. Hopefully some of our other guests will get festive with the weekend of America's Independence Day. Just a little hint, wink, wink to some of the guys here. But hopefully everyone here will be here tomorrow. Yes, I'm including Josh as well. As far as bounding in the comics and bounding in the sports goes, I have about 4 articles on standby. You should see those next week, or depending whenever Spencer gets ready, you should see them very, very soon. And then as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to be working more on the Society Review site. So I haven't posted too much content on there because I'm actually editing, updating old content. So once I have that completely squared away, I'll start putting some more stuff on the Society Review site, societyreviews.com. But yeah, I have like 6 years worth of stuff to do, and I just got completed with year 2. So I still got 4 years worth of stuff to do. It's going to take a while, but trust me, we'll get there, and it's going to look very, very nice once we hit that point. So yeah, so tomorrow night we're gonna get some UFC stuff on there. I got some people who may be there who probably you only see them once on Society Reviews YouTube. You probably never see them again. So I definitely recommend tuning in tomorrow night. So until then, it's really nothing else to go on tonight. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Twitch, subscribe to everyone's Twitter, YouTubes, and Twitches. Everyone else here, they're great for spending Friday night with me once again. I want to talk to you guys a little bit once we're done with the outro, but we'll see you next week, Bar Room, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.